when you lead with humility and you lead with vulnerability, you end up with a collaborative environment. Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way, I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur podcast, where I give straightforward advice for the entrepreneur in all of us. I'm Devin Dickinson. Today I want to talk to you about humble, vulnerable leadership. And the best way I can kick this podcast off is by telling a story. Now, most of you know that I also coach. It's my passion. Love coaching varsity soccer. Done it for the last, I think, this is my 5th year. And we've had a really great season this year. And we actually went 11-1 in the regular season. Playoffs are just about to start, so I'm super excited. But we went 11-1, right? We had this one loss, and it was so good that we lost, because we lost early in the season, and frankly, it's exactly what we needed as a team. We needed that loss to kind of recalibrate us, help us think about lineups, help us think about deficiencies, help us think about what we do good, help us think about what we do bad, and really also humble us. And so after this loss, it was kind of like a black eye. We were kind of like really surprised we lost. We got our team together, and before practice, I was like, "Hey guys, we're gonna have a practice here, but before we do this, let's have a conversation about the game last night." So we all circled up, and I said, "All right, tell me individually, not collectively as a team, but tell me individually what you should have changed, what you need to do different if we're going to be the team that we want to be this year." And so, I asked that question, and everyone kind of, they did everyone kind of looked down and kicked the ground a little bit. No one was making eye contact. And I said, "Hey, I'm the coach. I'm going to go first." And so I went through, and I didn't say like, "Hey, I need to do a better job as a coach," or whatever. I literally talked about, I said, "Guys, let me start by saying, I feel like I lost the game for us last night. And the reason I feel like I lost the game for us last night was in the second half, the wind all of a sudden came in and kicked up against us so bad. It was like 25, 30-mile-an-hour winds. And those of you who know soccer know it's pretty hard to play against that. You can't clear the ball. You're basically playing against another player. It's really difficult. But in my pride, in my arrogance, in my overconfidence that I had, we just kept going for it. I didn't make any adjustments, and we kept playing against the wind. And sure enough, we ended up getting scored on with like 3 minutes left. And I said, "Guys, I should have played for the tie," because it was 1-1. I should have played for the tie. I should have adjusted our lineup and then just played defensively, because if I had just played for the tie, we actually in high school go into overtime, then we switch sides, right? And I think like at the very least we would have tied. Probably we would have had a much better chance of winning. But I said, "Everyone," I said, last night the loss is on me, on your coach." And I just paused after that. Well, immediately, guess what? Some of the captains started, and they started sharing individually, very vulnerably, what they need to improve on and what they personally did wrong in the game. And one person after another, after another, after another. And before long, the entire team went and talked about what we needed to individually change, and then collectively as a team, what we need to work on as a team. And it was probably the most valuable circle up that I've ever had with my team, because it wasn't just me talking, but it was me being very humble and vulnerable and demonstrating that as a leader to them, which allowed everyone within the organization to do the same thing. And I've realized that when you lead with humility and you lead with vulnerability, you end up with a collaborative environment. And this is true on the soccer field, but it's also true in the workplace. And as a leader, if you're listening to this, you're probably a leader at some level, either in your workplace or somewhere. But you know what I mean by this, because when you're humble, and you're vulnerable, you begin to create this culture of vulnerable, open, humble communication in your organization. And you start to demonstrate to others that you care and understand how your actions, your decisions impact them, which most people think, oh, you know what? The leader at the top of the organization, they don't care. They just make decisions, and whatever it does, it impacts me. But when you demonstrate humble, vulnerable communication, you're signaling to everybody that, listen, this isn't just about me. This is about everybody. And you begin to have these open lines of communication that all of a sudden people feel confident. They feel like, hey, the leader of the organization isn't just about them, but they're about the organization and the betterment of the entire organization. And even though I might not always understand, even though I might not always agree, I understand the leader's heart, and I will support the leader in their decisions. And all of a sudden, they also will communicate better with you. They'll start to say, hey, actually, I disagree. And when you do this, you demonstrate your willingness as a leader to also learn from others. Because in that circle up, we not only were able to talk about ourselves, but we were able to talk about, hey, as a team, we need to do this. Hey, as a defense, we need to do this. And the defense could say, hey, and as an offense, we need to do this. And when you show that, hey, that's okay, we can talk about this because we're all humble. We're all vulnerable. And that's the type of organization that we want to have. You also will demonstrate, and this is super important, the arrogance and selfishness will not be tolerated in this organization. And when they see that coming from the top, all of a sudden it starts to weed those type of egos out. It starts to weed those type of people that literally they're like, no, this is my kingdom. This is my department. All I care about is my people. And all of a sudden, when you at the very top show, hey, this is not how we do things, you have an organization that will weed out arrogance, weed out selfishness. And it's so important as a leader. And so my challenge to you is, are you vulnerable? Are you humble? Do people know that they can approach you? Do people know that, like, this is not all about you? Because now, all of a sudden, everyone gets to share in the victory. If you as a leader go, hey, it's my fault that we lost, you are demonstrating to the team that, hey, guess what? As a team, we can win. As a team, we can lose, right? If you're willing to own the mistakes, if you're willing to be humble, it now no longer just becomes about you winning and you losing. It becomes about the team winning, and the team wins together and the team loses together. And that's the type of cohesion that you want. That's the type of collaboration that you want. I will tell you that we applied this on the soccer field and we got better as a team. If you apply this humility and vulnerability in your leadership today, you will get better as an organization. I'm Devin, and this is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, and I know this will help.